Hey folks, it's Patriot Nurse. In today's segment, I want to discuss with you the left becoming armed. What a thought. They've spent the past decades, plural, fighting against the Second Amendment, and now, suddenly, it's their right. Yeah, to the point where they're willing to participate in open carry rallies, walking around with rifles in public, voicing rhetoric to not only dismantle the Constitution, which is funny, the inherent idiocy there of, oh, my Second Amendment, let's destroy the Constitution and build our socialist utopia. It's like, ooh, okay, lead paint dropped on the head. Mommy didn't like you, did she? However, these people are becoming more and more increasingly violent with their rhetoric, right? Which is what I've been saying for a while. And it's funny because people will accuse me of different things. You know, oh, you're being some sort of sensationalist patriot. It's like, no, I'm putting together logic with history and current affairs, right? So these people are walking around now with rifles, of course, and it's not just in Arizona. Texas has had issues with this too, all right? Yeah, yay for Austin, right? The great malignant tumor on the beautiful state of Texas, the sister state of Tennessee. It's hysterical to me, in a way, that these people suddenly have decided that the Second Amendment is their right, even though they've spent actively, decades prior trying to strip our rights away. Now it's their right, okay? So what they're doing is they're using the law in their favor, right? Check out the history of the ACLU, the founder of the ACLU. Yeah, his whole little thing was, we're going to try and use the law to subvert the system and destroy it from within. Sound familiar? Because CARE, the Center for American Islamic Relations, they do the same thing. And oh, by the way, these groups are learning from each other. They're getting together now and they're implementing the tactics that they have learned are effective, right, from their fellows, okay? So pay attention, because in the next few weeks, May Day, which is May 1st, historically a pagan celebration in antiquity, has been adopted in the past and is currently being celebrated by the international socialists, okay? Socialism, despite whatever moniker you want to put on it, okay, it is an international movement that seeks to essentially elevate the proletariat and destroy all distinctions between people, because if you can destroy the distinctions between people, you can consolidate them and make them essentially like the Borg. They will be assimilated. You have the control. You have the power. Yay for the proletariat, right? We're going to equally share all the miseries, between each other. So the socialists have made May Day their little de facto July 4th. And May Day in the United States was associated actually with the Haymarket event in Chicago, which was an act of domestic terrorism courtesy of the left. Started out as a peaceful protest, right? That swiftly moved into a bombing and violence against police officers. Oh my, that sounds familiar. Read Black Lives Matter, protests at Milo. Like these people throughout history have used the same methodology that you are seeing today. And it's always come to the inevitable conclusion that at some point they overplay their hand and they start off violence, or they start out a revolution, which essentially is just the breakdown of a government. They seek to destroy it, dismantle it from within. Now, the funny thing is that both of the videos of these different marches that I have seen have the participants, of course, which they're so laughable because they're so freaking stupid. Like, you watch them and you're like, you have no idea. You have no idea what you're doing with that little toy of yours. You don't know. However, you can't be contemptuous of your enemy, because that's a mistake in and of itself. However, you hear these people say, the will of the people must be heard. The will of the people must be heard. Hello, moron. We had an election. So what you're contesting is not that the will of the people wasn't heard, it's that you didn't like the will of the people being heard. So now what you're going to do is try and start violent revolution from within, or at least try and provocateur it so that way you look like the victims and mass everybody's sympathies behind you. Good way to go. So folks, this is not new. They've been doing this for a very long time. This is their MO. And from the very beginning, they have sought to use, once they figured out they couldn't overtake the United States externally, because whenever we've been attacked externally, we tend to unify. The rare times that we do unify, whenever we're attacked externally. So what they figured out is they're going to try and infiltrate us from within. P.S. McCarthy was right on an awful lot of stuff, by the way. They're going to try and infiltrate us from within. They're going to try and use our own system of rules against us to destroy us, all right? So that's what they're doing. They've been doing this for a long time, and they're going to try and do it now. Keep your eyes open for it, because I think they have a lot of things per their own, like Black Lives Matter and whatever domestic terrorist organizations it is. They are planning different marches on May Day, which is traditionally their July 4th day, all right? So just be aware of this. And for us, for God-fearing American patriots who love the Constitution, this is something that we've been anticipating for a while. The way that I live my life is not changed, because the way I live my life involves often practicing with my weapons. It involves carrying my weapon with me everywhere I go, including in my own house. And when I have the ability to have a rifle at arm's length away from me, this has not changed for us. So the way that we deal with external threats of violence from these people is the same. We continue to carry not to take life, but to protect innocent life, which is interesting because you juxtapose that against the historical outcomes of armed socialists. They take life in huge numbers, to the tune of over 100 million people in the last century alone, not counting wars. That's what socialist regimes do. They stand in the middle, at the beginnings, they stand in the middle like the little Bolsheviks and say, we are the voice of the people, we are the voice of the people, and then they show up with weapons, and then they try and use those weapons to intimidate people. Then they use them to incite problems, domestic tranquility issues, and then they end up trying to come in the power vacuum and destroy us. So for them, like, this is the same playbook that they've played for a very, very long time. So for us, we just need to be ready. I would submit to you that you need to be practicing regularly. With your weapons, you need to know effectively how to move and shoot and fight. You need to have good marksmanship. You need to have your fundamentals. This is a diligence on our part, okay? These people may be newcomers to carrying firearms, but they're behind the power curve, okay? The way that we ensure that we're ahead of the power curve is to outwork them, okay? Historically, they're good at organizing, but we're more diligent people because we have a spiritual cause to fight for. They fight for the same lie that's been perpetuated since the Garden of Eden, and we fight for truth. If you liked the video today, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. You can follow me on Facebook. You can also come out and train with me, medically speaking. It's funny because people think that like medicine and preparedness for these sorts of things don't tend to go hand in hand. Listen, if you want to know how to prepare for the future, you better look at the past. You better look at history, all right? It is the best teacher because patterns in humanity have not changed. They have not changed. Only our technology has. The narratives, the patterns of human nature are essentially the same since the inception of man. It's been that way. So being able to be prepared, medically speaking, involves not only having the right equipment, it's knowing how to use your equipment, it's knowing how to assess people, how to take care of people. So that way, if you have issues externally, for whatever reason you can't get to good medical help, that you have the ability to care for someone at home. That's important to me. That's why I teach the class. I'd love to see you there. This year, I'm going to Spokane. I'll be in Spokane, Washington, April 29th and 30th. I got a few more spots for that class, so they're filling up. Also going to be at Valor Ridge in May, going to be in Houston, Texas, also Peoria, Illinois, Exeter, New Hampshire, of course, Knoxville, Tennessee, going to be in Salt Lake City and also Reno, Nevada this year. Check out the full schedule at the website. I'd love to see you in class, guys. We got to be diligent. We got to be prepared. For now, it's Patriot Nurse signing off. I'll see y'all later.